I was also told, PCOS is just, you just have problems, infertility issues later. And, 16-year-old, you're like,
You don't worry about that, yeah.
Finally, we ended up at a OBGYN that she ran a bunch of tests on me. And she was like, no, it's not just the weight. It's, you have PCOS, and surprise, you also have cervical cancer now because of it.
We met you last fall at the PCOS Conference 2019 outside of Washington, D.C. We were really fortunate to be able to participate, and we were very excited. And we all have something in common, that being PCOS. So, we're really interested to hear your story, so that other girls, can learn from this.
Absolutely. So, my story is similar to everybody else's, but also different. So let's see. When I was about 9 years old, my mother started noticing a lot of difference in myself that she did not experience when she was going through puberty herself. So a lot of times medical professionals will tell you that when it comes to, your cycle and whatnot, you follow in your mother's path.
Right.
To age and starting and your different emotions and whatnot. So unfortunately, I did not follow in my mother's path. She actually started her cycle when she was 12. And by the time of 9 years old, I was very active. We're talking basketball, volleyball, equestrian, any of the sports that were happening in school, I was a part of it. But I just started rapidly gaining weight, and it was like my mom was like, "What is wrong with you?" And then she actually, as a child, she was a chubby child herself, so she kind of got scared for me when it came to bullying and stuff like that. So there was a lot of, you gotta lose the weight. We gotta do something to stop this. So she started taking me to a lot of different medical professionals. First of all, it was our family doctor, and our family doctor was like, well, she just has to lose weight. And then it ended up being more like nurse practitioners, and then naturopaths, and all sorts of different, medical professionals that could possibly help my symptoms. Along with the weight gain came a lot of emotional issues.
Right,
so I was struggling a lot. And by the time I was 16, I still had no menstrual cycle. So it turned into, what's wrong? There's something seriously wrong. And still medical professionals were still telling my mother, she just has to lose weight and then she'll be fine. So finally we ended up at a OBGYN that she ran a bunch of tests on me. And she was like, no, it's not just the weight. It's, you have PCOS, and surprise, you also have cervical cancer now because of it. So so it was it was a double whammy. It was definitely a double whammy. And at the time, the focus for myself and my mother was the cervical cancer. Like, what do we need to do to make sure that this doesn't happen? I ended up having surgery to have it removed. So at that time, my mind was not on PCOS, because not only was it the cervical cancer, but I was also told, PCOS is just, you just have problems, infertility issues later. And, 16-year-old, you're like,
you don't worry about that,
that doesn't matter to me. And as time went on, I actually found something very interesting out at PCOS Con that my mother shared. And I was like, wait a minute, you did what? So kind of find out, I was struggling a lot with the emotional issues and the hormonal imbalances and whatnot. And my mother is a very, she's going to try whatever to help me, to help whomever, she's going to try it. She told me, or she shared at PCOS Con, that she actually gave me placebo and told me that it was like the miracle drug.
Oh my gosh.
And it was going to cure everything. I was like, hold on, wait a second. You did what? and I'm just now learning about this, like, 20 years later. Like,
that's crazy. So wait, she gave you a placebo pill, or, oh my gosh.
Pill, and she told me it was going to cure everything.
Wow.
But the outcome was interesting. This is interesting to find out, is that for the first like 2 weeks taking it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm great, I'm fine, there's nothing wrong with me. But within about 3 weeks, I was worse. So that proved to her that
it wasn't really something going on with you.
Because one of the things that some of the medical professionals through my journey of 9 years old to 16 years old was telling her is that it was in my head.
Oh,
I was
faking
this. I was faking
things. It's interesting that you say that. It's one of the things that I think when you have PCOS and you don't understand what's going on, you don't understand how your mood or your energy levels is tied into that. And then once you learn, you're like, oh, okay, this, like, it's not in my head. It's a real, like, medical issue that I have to deal with and that I have to, like, manage.
Absolutely. So that was an interesting learn. So from like 16 to 21, I went about my business. It was business as usual for me, work and school and whatnot, not really thinking about PCOS. I came to about 21, and at the time, I'm of the age where it was right before and you could be on your parents' insurance until 20.
Yeah, until like 23 or so.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Correct. So I'm of the age where before that, you were kicked off your parents' medical insurance at like what, 21?
Yeah.
You were done.
Yeah.
So 21, no medical insurance, and I was really struggling with my PCOS at that time. I had no, like, that's when I really started understanding what PCOS was and how it affected me more than just infertility. Mm-hmm. And my emotions were up and down. My weight gain was more up than down.
Yeah.
And facial acne, hair loss. I really started losing my hair at that time, but then hair growth other places. It was ridiculous. And then it came to a point where I actually was hospitalized. The cysts on my ovaries actually ruptured, and I was like healed over, in pain. Ambulance had to come to my job, come get me. Was in ER for a while, and I'd like to think of myself as a fighter. and I am definitely my mother's child. And so when she actually showed up at the ER and they were actually releasing me, they told me that there was just nothing that they could do for me. I just had to endure and go through it. It was going to be my life. She said she saw
didn't really give you much hope there.
Right? Exactly. Well, my mom said she saw a fire in my eyes and that she knew that at that point I was done. Like that wasn't
over. Yeah.
That was not the answer that you should give me. So I immediately went online, started searching like PCOS, and found like so many people that
have it.
Yeah, so through like chat groups, at the time Facebook wasn't around, so it was, MySpace.
Yeah.
MySpace and all the other like, AOL chat rooms and just all sorts of stuff. I was getting like, so there was so many search engines that you could find PCOS, and I would go to one website that supposedly had PCOS information, but it didn't have all the answers that I was looking for. Mm-hmm. So after a few years, it was like, I'm not finding what I need. So what do I need to do about this?
Right.
I actually started, like, every time we would talk about PCOS, my mom would talk about it to family or friends. They'd be like, what's PCOS? What's that? I don't understand. What is that? So I actually started selling handmade like bracelets to friends and family to just start raising awareness. Uh, Friends and family started posting it. This was the time that Facebook became, live and active. Friends and family were posting stuff on Facebook and whatnot. And next thing I knew, I was being contacted by people that were in like China and New Zealand and Australia and UK. And they were like, I have PCOS. It was crazy, the excitement behind it. And it was like, oh.
Yeah, definitely relate to that. Like once you get that diagnosis and you meet somebody else, then you're like, oh my gosh, like
we're besties.
Yeah, you get excited over it. It seems weird that you would get excited, but after living with it so many years, and then you learn about it, and then you meet other people, and you can like share notes and figure out and learn from them. It is really, really exciting.
Yeah, it's like it. I mean, at the time, it was like, what do we call ourselves and what do we do? That's when the term sisterhood came around. STERHOOD. So sisterhood, it just made sense. So I took the funds that was earned, the bracelets, and I applied for 501c3. So with the IRS, and so that's what birthed PCOS Awareness Association. And we've been around this will be the 8th year. And every year we're constantly being attacked by people. Like, we need something. And yeah, it's like an attack. It's like people just like come at us and they're like, we need something in our area. We need something. And it's like, so in my mind, like this has always been a thought and a dream to have an event that would encompass medical professionals, women with PCOS, and then just recently it was like, let's encompass also the male, our male, support systems. So in the past, we have done a medical conference, and that was successful, but it didn't have the women with PCOS part of it, and it felt very clinical, and I needed something else. So it was like, what do we do? How do we do this?
Social aspect and everything, really.
And again, the sisterhood, it needed something. So that's when PCOS Con was birthed. And I will be the first to admit that it was kind of like, we're going to do this. And we're talking like beginning of 2019. I was like, this is happening. I don't care. This is happening. I probably should have given myself some more time, but that's why we're going to do it Well,
I think you did a great job planning it. I really enjoyed the event. And like we told you last year, like we've done events ourselves. It's no easy task. So we definitely thought you did a great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that because it definitely was a labor of love. So I'm excited that people are excited about it. And like I said, I'm giving myself some time now. So we're going to do it every 2 years. So the next one will be 2021. And we're already like accepting speaker applications, exhibitor applications, and sponsors and all the good stuff. We hope to be able to open up ticket sales this September. So that'll give people a year to kind of, purchase their tickets and get informed on what's going to happen. And we're excited to do bigger and better next year. So
that's awesome. So let's go back for 1 second, because I think one of the interesting points that you brought up, like once you got on Facebook and you started talking to people internationally, people were contacting you. So let's talk about the statistics of women in general that have PCOS. It's kind of across the board, across every continent and culture. It's like I believe 1 in 8 women, and now 1 in 5. Yeah, when I first got it, it was 1 in 8. Now it's 1 in 5 women in every country, in every part, like population. It's kind of
it's
spread out.
It's crazy. Like I never, like when I was diagnosed, it was 1 in 10. So what's happening is that medical professionals are really trying to understand and educate themselves on PCOS. Therefore, they are realizing that, a patient could have one symptom, or they could have all the symptoms, or, any number in between, and still be considered having PCOS. And I think that's part of the problem, is that, acne could be diagnosed just as, normal puberty.
Right.
Hair loss could be alopecia. So we have so many different, there's so many different other things that it can equate to, but you're kind of overlooking the larger picture, and that's kind of what needs to happen. It's a holistic issue. So
right. So now, I think you mentioned it's been 20 years, right, since you had your diagnosis, since you've been living with it.
Don't tell my age.
Don't tell your age. So what are some of the things that you incorporate in your day-to-day life to help manage your PCOS?
So I think that, like with any other person, I think we go on these like journeys every once in a while,
right,
of we're gonna get better, we're gonna do what it takes to feel better and be better, but then life happens and we fall off, and we get to a point where it's like, I think so. Like, part of my struggle when I was younger with the whole weight gain thing is that my mom was like I said, she was like, well, we got to get this weight off, So there was what she would do. Like, at one point, she had us in the Weight Watchers program, and it was so frustrating because you would literally go for weigh-in, and here's my mom. She's not a thin person, but she's also not a large person, but here she is in Weight Watchers weigh-in, and she's lost like 5 pounds. And mind you, I'm young, so she's cooking. She's the one cooking. She's the one preparing our lunches and whatnot. I'm following it the same exact way she's following it. And I go on the scale, and I've literally lost 0.2 pounds. It's just it's crushing. That's crushing. And so I think at that point, some of us may feel like, well, I'm just going to eat what I want to eat.
Yeah. You feel like it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anyway. So I'm going to eat what I love.
You can at least feel good in that regard. Like,
right.
You enjoy food.
So I think for myself personally, a few years ago, I went on a journey of, I'm going to, work out 4 times a week. I'm going to follow what watch what I eat very carefully. And I also did acupuncture. I felt amazing. I lost 50 pounds, felt amazing. My energy level was up. My, just in general, like, I don't know, something about PCOS, having PCOS, it makes you feel just,
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but my mom has often said that she's like, you don't know what it feels like to feel normal.
Yeah.
And so it's just I guess when I was doing all this, I felt normal. I felt good. And I'm happy to say that in the last 5 years since that whole journey, I've only gained like 20 of those pounds back, but I'm not working out like I should be. There's just too much going on in life right now. so I can't quite get my mind set to head to the gym or go for that walk. And I think that something else that I do is I purposely like watch what I eat. It's not like I'm counting my calories or that I'm going to eat a salad every day, that type of thing. I just more or less like say to myself, oh, Megan, you had a few cookies a second ago. Like, let's not further that with this candy bar.
Right.
So it's kind of a give and take. But I would like to be back on my path that I was before. So thanks for reminding me.
Still early in the new year, we have time.
Right. I keep telling myself, like every year I make a vision board, and the picture of myself when I was, 50 pounds lighter is on that vision board, and it's like, that's where I want to be.
I will say, on my end, like one of the things, if I don't manage my stress, that really has a tendency to make things spiral out of control.
I absolutely agree. Like just recently, I've been like under immense stress with my day job, and I noticed that. So another one of the symptoms of PCOS is, you start to have skin problems, whether it's acne or on my side, I get psoriasis. And, man, my stress level has been through the roof lately, and my psoriasis has been acting up, and it's like, I haven't had that problem in about a year, so what's wrong?
Yeah, what's going on? I think one of the things that's interesting, I mean, PCOS is really complicated, but one of the, I'm going to call it a positive benefit. We always try to look on the bright side of things here. So one of the things that it forces you to do is to be mindful. And to be mindful of how you're feeling, to check in with yourself, feel out your body and figure out what it needs. Whereas, you may otherwise run yourself into the ground and not even realize like what you're doing to yourself.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I try and like when those emotional bouts happen, I try and take a step back, and it's like, no, what's really wrong? Something else is really wrong. I'm not, going after somebody because I want to. I'm going after them because something else is going on in my brain or in my endocrine system. So
definitely. Well, Megan, thank you so much for joining us today and talking to us about your personal journey and everything that you're doing with PCOS Conference. We're looking forward to PCOS Con 2021. Do you want to let everybody know what the website is so that they can get more information?
Absolutely. So for more information about PCOS Con, you will want to go to www.pcoscon.org. For more information about PCOS in general, you'll want to go to www.pcosaa.org.
Perfect. And then I know you also have a Facebook and an Instagram page where people can check out too.
Yeah. Absolutely. So they're both separate. We want to keep the event part separate from the nonprofit part. But if you're looking for PCOS Con on Instagram, it's PCOS Con. If you're looking for PCOS Con on Facebook, it's the same, just Facebook.com/PCOS Con. And for PCOS Awareness Association, Instagram would be PCOS AA, and Facebook would be PCOS Awareness Association. Awesome. It's a long name, sorry.
No, it's all good. Thank you so much for joining us today. If there are any topics you would like more information about, please leave us a comment below. And of course, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to be notified of new episodes.